A little update. What I just finished up in the last few days. Um, I just redid the alternator and the power steering pump. Started out as that, and then ended up upgrading the alternator to the battery cable. And then decided I've been looking for quite a while and finally found some distribution blocks. I'm not 100% stoked on these, but they seem to be working well enough for right now until I find an alternative. Since there's not a lot of room in the engine bay, I wanted to find something that I could try to keep all the power local, instead of having a bus somewhere mounted in here that I had to run wires to, extra wires, and try to keep it from getting touched by anything and arcing across. So anyway, this is the line that comes from the alternator. It's double aught. I think it'll do. I ran the wires that control the alternator in this sleeve, and then when I got to the double aught, I joined them together and then ran them over, and I'll show that in a minute. But so I've got, this is a cable that goes to the rear for an Anderson plug, and then my winch cables, and here's this is for the ARB air compressor up there. The fuses are here. I'm going to do something different. I'd like to hard mount the fuses somewhere, but for right now, I just shrunk wrap them together and then joined them up so they're one connector. And then this is the, right here, actually, this is the OE power for the starter. Goes down to the starter, over to the starter, I should say. And then this cable here, this is the ground for the, going back there too. This right here is the power that goes over to the OE distribution block, and I was going to abandon this and start over, but I couldn't find anything that was compact enough, so I decided to just modify this. So all the power, it's isolated here. Nothing's going to arc. I don't see any reason to isolate it any more than I have. You can see I put cert nuts in here and other cert nuts back here. I'll show you what those are for in a second. But then this is the cable runs down and over here to an isolation switch. You can see the connectors under there. And then from the isolation switch comes over to this distribution block. And what I did is I hijacked or reallocated the fuses in here and made sure everything is protected the way it was in an OE situation. So still have the alt fuse here, the 7.5 fuse, and then everything, instead of coming in from here on OE, I ran every power in here, and then everything comes through and is protected coming across there. And I still have this 100 amp main that on our cruisers ain't being used, but I can use that for any accessories in the future. And since this is single aught here, running to it, I've got plenty of power to run to those. So anyway, those cert nuts worked out pretty good. I just drilled holes that were just slightly above the floor of the fuse panel there, and cert nuts work out good. And I used aluminum cert nuts so that they would have less likelihood to bust the plastic, and I did some experimenting. It worked. So anyway, I think that's it. I got the spacer I used to have for this burned up in the wildfires here, along with my shop and everything in it. So a lot of stuff I'm still sourcing again. So this won't be sticking. And this is a brand new, pretty stoked about that, brand new OE battery clamp. And let's see, I redid a little bit heavier duty body ground. And then let's head over here. You can see I ran it pretty much in the OE location. And then I used cross zip ties. It's not super OE, but it works for what I'm doing, and I'm happy with it. And then it just runs down. There you can see the new OE power steering pump, and there is the pulley for the mean green, which is obviously hard to see from here. And then down here, you can see I updated, since it's a double aught, I had to use a double aught lug. Excuse me, a connector. And then I just went and redid all the shielding on the control wires for the alternator. And then you can see the back of the mean green there. And then while I was at it, this is something I've been working on for quite a while. And it's been doing pretty good for a long time. I just decided to redo it. So the mounts for the compressor are still where I've had them for the last almost 10 years. I got this, I don't know, it's a UHMW tube stock, and I just drilled a hole in it off center, and then I don't know if you can see, and the cruiser's pretty dirty right now, but I made some really, try to get in there, simple brackets in the stock locations, and then bolted it to the ARB plate that is our part of the housing for the double pumper. And then you can see we've had some pretty rusty situations with this thing. They spray the roads where we used to live. And then on the bottom, I just used a piece of aluminum angle. Someday I need to pull those parts apart and repaint them. For now, I'm just keeping them clean. And then I used cert nuts and some OE locations and stuff like that. And I mean, the whole thing ended up costing me less than, I don't know, $25, $30 just in aluminum, just for the brackets to get it mounted there, and the wiring all runs in along the side and stuff to the battery. So this, I used to just have a simple 3 spot manifold on here, and then I decided I wanted more. So I bought this off of Amazon and then punched a hole and threaded it on the back. I need to make some sort of bracket that doesn't need to be fancy, just something to hold these, utilize these bolt holes, and just to keep it from twisting when you push in and engage it. So that shouldn't be too hard. I haven't had time to do that. Probably won't take me that long. But so I have I don't know what these are called, but these quick connectors that they're pretty slick. They're 2-stage, so they release the pressure, and I like how it engages. I don't use a whole lot because I have this here, and this is a regulator that goes, that's what I use for airing up the tires, and it's preset to 45 PSI. It works pretty good, but not as well as I wanted it to, and it took me several years to figure out why. This is all new stuff compared to what I had on there. Some stuff that I didn't like as much. I got a little bit higher quality this time. But this, I've got a 1/2-inch NPT port over here that I'm going to run to an air reservoir. I've got 2 tanks that I don't know which one I'm going to install underneath, but it needs an air reservoir, kind of like a capacitor. Because if you try to run straight to the tires from this, the compressor, the way the pressure switch is set up, it turns off and on, off and on, off and on when it gets within, I don't know, 8 to 10 PSI of being where your preset is on the regulator. So anyway, and this is not a flow regulator, it's a pressure regulator, and it makes a difference in which one you use. So this is obviously my ARB, and I retapped this to 1/4-inch NPT, and then I ordered a 3/16 push connect, so 1/4 to 3/16 push connect, because I wanted to be able to turn 90 here and get it out of the way. I have a fully stainless one like this one here, and I'm going to put it on there. I forgot to put it on. This was just temporary. The reason I did that is because, like I said, I just wanted a 90. So this here is for my rear airbags, and this regulates the pressure on the airbags so that it stays where it needs to be. And if I've got, I want to keep pressure in there, I just set it wherever I want it and leave it. And I don't have any leaks in there, but if I ever had a super, super low leak and it felt like the airbags were getting a little soft, I just flip the switch in the cab, and this comes on automatically and adjusts the pressure. So pretty straightforward. Anyway, I relocated, which I showed in another post, a little oil residue there. It's a little oily. Relocated when I was changing out the power steering pump, the power steering reservoir, and then I got 3/8 and 5/8 hose respectively. Had to heat the ends up a little bit and slip them over. Now it's a really, really good connection, but I use the, if I can find it here. Oh, here it is. I cut off, so this is the original bracket right here. If I can remember which way it goes. This is the original power steering pump bracket, and I took it off, and it had that latch that went into that it locked into, and I just drilled out the 3 holes, or excuse me, the 3 shoot, what am I trying to say? Weld. I can't remember what those are called. My brain just quit on me for a second. So I cut those, or I popped those off, and then I bent the bracket so it's flat, and then I used cert nuts. I don't know if I can get this off here. Yeah, I can. There we go. You can see I used some OE bolts, and I bent that and painted it. And there's 2 cert nuts in there, aluminum cert nuts, because I didn't need anything more than that to get it in there. And then just went from there. So worked out pretty trick. And then I tidied up all my vacuum lines, ran them all together, used a clamp up here on the OE location when you pull off the engine cover, and everything's just running pretty much OE locations, but from right here, this is all new. I sleeved this one here. This is the smaller line. I can't remember what size it is, whatever fit on this, the regulator. And then I put, so it's doubled up. There's a smaller pipe inside of there to compensate for the smaller diameter of this. And it's sleeved and then tees off and picks up here, comes over and goes down and into the filter housing, which this is going to get changed out. This is only temporary, and I've got a better idea, and I'm working on it right now. So, yeah. So that's what I did over the last couple weeks on my spare time. So hopefully I help somebody out, give some ideas, and I'd love to hear more ideas on ways of tidying things up. The purpose for, real quickly, I've been asked multiple times why I would want to clean this up and move everything. Well, battery's going to go here. I like the batteries in the front. I don't like them back there. I like them up where I can access them and see how they're doing. So a secondary battery is going to go here. I have another OEM tie-down strap that I ordered out of Australia or wherever it was. It might have been Japan that it came from, but and then I'm working on finding a suitable plate to go down here. And I want to do a different air intake, the filter housing, so it'll be a little bit bigger. So I needed that room from all this other stuff for the battery, filter housing, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to put there. If I'm going to do storage for all my air fittings and stuff, air chucks and whatnot. Some small tools that I use up here a lot, air down tools and stuff like that, or if I'm going to end up putting the charge controller for the battery and the solar and all that. So I like having everything out of the front. And then I also did this. This is kind of a geek thing for me, but I found these thumb knobs. I was looking online, and it turns out I found them and then realized what they were for. They're for taking license plates off at the dealership. They're a 1/4 inch thread, and I just had to drill the holes out. I think it's like 7/32 or something like that, and then there's that little guy. Put that back in a minute. Did the same thing there in the middle, and there on the side, and I can easily the tines right here, just have to pull that over after I unscrew the thumbs, and then I have full access to my winch down there. So anyway, to unplug it and stuff. Well, that's it. Thanks.